Hello everyone, my name is Stephen Bouvier and this is my week 4 submission of a pop culture speech. Now when it came to doing a pop culture speech, we had a lot of options to choose from. I decided to narrow it down to a movie speech, which really didn't even narrow it down because now I still had a whole lot to choose from. When it comes to movie speeches, you have things like, there's a few that stood out. Full Metal Jacket, the drill instructor speech. You had A Few Good Men, Tom Cruise, the We Want the Truth speech. Braveheart, Mel Gibson, Freedom. The one I decided to do was actually one recommended to us in the week 4 assignment, was Christopher Walken's part of Captain Coon in Pulp Fiction. Now this may have been more difficult only because of the actor who was portraying it. Christopher Walken is a very talented actor and his mannerisms are difficult to mimic, but I'm going to try my best. And if you ever wonder why these actors get paid millions of dollars to portray these parts, you probably realize it if you did a movie one like I did. But this is my submission of Captain Coon's speech, so I hope you like it. Hello, little man. Boy. I sure heard a bunch about you. See, I was a good friend of your dad's. We were in that Hanoi pit of hell together for over 5 years. Hopefully, you'll never have to experience this for yourself. But when two men are in a situation like me and your dad were, for as long as we were, you take on certain responsibilities of the other. If it had been me who had not made it out, Major Coolidge would be talking to my son right now, Jim. But the way it turned out, I'm talking to you, Butch. I got something for you. This watch I got here was first purchased by your great-grandfather during the First World War. It was bought in a little general store in Knoxville, Tennessee. Made by the first company to ever make wristwatches. Up until that point, people just carried around pocket watches. It was bought by Private Doughboy Ryan Coolidge the day he set sail for Paris. This was your great-grandfather's war watch, and he wore it every day he was in the war. Then, when he had done his duty, he went home to your great-grandmother, took the watch and put it in an old coffee can. And there it stayed. Till your granddad, Dane Coolidge, was called upon by his country to go overseas and fight the Germans once again. This time they called it World War II. Your great-grandfather gave this watch to your granddad for good luck. Unfortunately, Dane's luck wasn't as good as his old man's. Dane was a Marine and killed along with all the other Marines at the Battle of Wake Island. Your granddad was facing death. He knew it. None of those boys had any illusions of ever leaving that island alive. So, 3 days before the Japanese took the island, your granddad asked a gunner on the Air Force transport named Wakaki, a man he had never met before in his life, to deliver to his infant son, who he had never seen in the flesh, his gold watch. 3 days later, your granddad was dead, but Wakaki kept his word. After the war was over, he paid a visit to your grandmother, delivering to your infant father his dad's gold watch. This watch was on your daddy's wrist when he was shot down over Hanoi. He was captured and put in a Vietnamese prison camp. He knew if the gooks ever saw the watch, they'd confiscate it, take it away. Your dad looked at it. This watch was your birthright. He'd be damned if any slopes were going to put their greasy yellow hands on it, on his boy's birthright. So he hid it in the one place he knew he could hide something. His ass. 5 long years he wore this watch up his ass. And then he died of dysentery. He gave me the watch. I hid this uncomfortable hunk of metal up my ass. 2 long years. Then, after 7 years, I was sent home to my family. And now, little man, I give you the watch. I know I was not nearly as good as Christopher Walken, but this proved more difficult to me than I had expected. Now, this was honestly a couple dozen attempts and this was the best one, so I should probably tell you something how bad the other ones were. But as always, please comment or let me know what you think I might have done good, what I might have done bad. I never did drama or anything, so I don't feel like following a line I'm any good at it. If I'm up in front of people just winging it, I feel like I can talk more naturally, better. But I look forward to seeing your guys' submissions as well. This week was, when I first read it, I thought it was going to be an easy submission, but turns out I was wrong. But that was my submission. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next week.